trying to do a multi-stream, and we'll see what we can do here. I'm trying to get on Instagram too. And yes, I got on my Catwoman glasses, so forgive me. Welcome and hello, everybody. I am doing a multi-stream on, if I can get on, I see myself on Instagram here. I'm on TikTok, which is a separate entity over here. And I don't know why, I don't know why Instagram is looking like this, but Instagram, if that's actually the picture you have, please forgive me. It is a little orange. So I'm excited. Yes, I'm here today. I'm here today with y'all because I'm doing a multi stream on the life force in your bloodline. Okay. And as I said before, I am in Instagram, I'm in TikTok, and I am live streaming on YouTube as well. Um, people could say why, and I'm going to say I was intuitively divined to come here. And forgive my cat glasses, all right? It's called You Can't Find Your Regular Magnifiers. Okay. So welcome, welcome, love and lights. Welcome all. Welcome all. Welcome all. Welcome all to Power Profit TV. I sincerely appreciate anyone who's here, and TikTok, I'm not going to be able to engage the chat and all that. And I can't do multi guests, so please forgive me. I'm not sure what's happening on Instagram, although I can see the feed. Usually I have my phenomenal microphone in front of me, but I'm a little concerned about in this multi-feed it posing a problem. And I want to make sure all my audio is up. Okay. Yes, love and lights. Welcome all to the Ascension series. Indeed, I am the host and the teacher and the seeker myself, Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at. All right. And if you're here, you know, put something in the chat or the comments, not something, right? Ka. K-A in caps in the chat or the comments so that I know that you were here for this presentation. All right. And we are walking the Ascension path. That is what we're doing here. And for some reason, my screen has done away with the actual graphic. So I'm going to pull up the graphic again so you can see the path that we are walking here. Okay, and this information is all available at power-profit.com. The Ascension path. Now let me see what I did with this graphic. Oh no, it's not there. Give me a second so I can pull it up for y'all. So you can actually see the path. I'm not sure how good it will be visible on portrait. Okay. But let us see what we can see. And yes, of course, I'm having some issues finding it. Give me a moment here. I got so many files to look. All right, let me just pull it up on the website so you can see exactly what this is, okay? Because I feel like sometimes I'm talking in a vacuum, right? And people may not necessarily know what I'm talking about because I assume that people will visit the website, but indeed that may not necessarily always be true. Give me a second here. Let me find it here. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. So hopefully you can see this. I don't know why this is showing. Maybe it can't show. All right, I'm going to take it down because it seems like some of these other venues cannot see the. Oh, there it is. And yes, of course, it's on the second one for some of you. Hopefully you can see this. We are moving through the Arc Ascension, and for those of you who've been staying abreast of what's happening here, and for those of you on the portrait, this is not the gate of Ka, this is the gate of Ba, which we have not gotten into yet. So I apologize for this. I do not know how to change it. But again, this is on the 9 bodies of light, the path. And so we entered the gate of Ka last week. We entered the gate of Ka, which is the descent down into the body, okay? The descent down into the body. And I don't mean descent like it is something negative. I mean descent in the way in which the power of release talks about recognize. The descent into the body is to recognize exactly what is occurring within ourselves, particularly in regards to our Kim, our melanin, within the melanin metaphysics framework. And so last week, we began with Khat, the Khat, which is the body. We started at Khat. And you can see these streams on YouTube. And as many of you know who follow me on various social media, I upload clips regarding some of the things I talked about. So we began in the body. I talked about it as the first temple and how it's populated with many times things it should not be. It's in resonance with things that do not serve us. And I gave the example of, in the Bible, Jesus in the temple clearing out the people who were selling their wares, selling trinkets, just BS to the people in righteous indignation. I have this scene of him just throwing people out of the temple, much in the same way that we need to throw out of the lot of internalized residue that we draw on to create our understandings of our body, ourself, the identity. So today we are going to move further into melanin metaphysics with Ka. Okay, and I'm going to take Ka here, the gate of Ka. We have the 9 bodies. First of is Khat, second is Ka. And this is where ancestral memory is I'm trying to find the right word. Ancestral memory is realized, and it should be realized in its fullest sense. And that is what I'm here to teach about today, which is the life force in your blood. I would recommend to everyone, and I'm going to put this QR code up here. This is not to sell you something. This is to help you gain knowledge regarding the Ka. We have a free practice guide. This is the QR code. I don't know if folks on Instagram can see this. I'm not sure if folks on TikTok can see it, but this is the QR code to access the free guide on power-profit/community. If you look on that page and go to calendar, you will see a link that gives you direct connection with no email subscription, no commitment, no burden on you other than you sitting in the seat of seeking. Okay? Get the guide. We definitely will do the live practice of calling names tomorrow at 2:30. But I want you to get this guide because it asks you questions that align with this week of study on the Ka. So that is there for you, free access for seekers who are really interested in doing the work that seekers must do to transform their lives. Again, if you are here with me, put in the comments Ka in all caps or in the chat KA in all caps. I have a running time on this presentation today of 50 minutes. That is 50 minutes. So, for all you who were here with me yesterday, I want to welcome you back with me today. Spirit is telling me to go to the source, hence the reason why I am seeking to share this across various channels. When I am called to do something, I do it. So if you were here with me yesterday, we did something powerful. We told the truth about the oldest war in this country, the war on your memory, the 400-year effort to erase your ancestors. We did not end in despair. We ended in a verdict, my friends. They failed. They tried to erase your ancestors and they failed. And for anyone who is interested in what we talked about yesterday, it is on Power Prophet TV, YouTube. It's called Ancestors. It will be there probably for about a week before I take it down and only offer it in the temple community for seekers hungry to know who, what they are. But if you are honest, the verdict of they failed in erasing your ancestors, it leaves another question hanging in the air. If they failed, if the erasure did not work, then where? Where did the erasure? Because we know they are removing things from museums. We know that they are removing things from textbooks in schools. We know that they are removing things that tell us who we are, and in particular, the youth who may not even know from whence they came in this American society. This is urgent. And if they cannot see themselves in the accoutrements of this society, then where can they situate themselves to see who they are? What are your alternatives? So if the erasure is not working here and has not worked for 400 years in this society, where do our ancestors survive? Where can you tell your children, the youth, where our ancestors survive? Because it clearly, as I said, was not in the museum they are gutting or the ledger that lists them as property or the record that they have been editing since 1807 here in the United States of Americans. So where did they go? Today, I'm answering that question in this live stream, and the answer is a body of light, the second of the 9 called the Ka. Your ancestors, my friends, survived in you. And today I'm going to teach you exactly what that means. And for anybody who's jumping on now, my name is Minister Dr. Akaila Ka Ma'at, and this is the Ak Ascension. And if this is your first time here, if you were not here yesterday, you are not behind, my friends. You are never behind. And you do not need yesterday to receive today. All you need to know is this: You have been told a lie about how alone you are. And that lie does not have to be spoken, my friend. Sometimes we get caught up in the semantics of told. No one has to come up and say, your ancestors do not exist. All they have to do is present an environment in which you are being erased. That is communication enough. You have been told about how alone you are. People say, I'm not from Africa. I'm not African. I've never been to Africa. I have never been from Africa, but I know the history of the world from time beginning until now. There's no one in this world who exists without having a birth in the cradle of civilization in Africa. I'm going to say that again. No one exists on this planet. And I would even venture further to say there's nothing under the sun on this planet that has not had its beginning in African civilization. And as you know, or as you should know, the first person who walked, who began what they say as humanity, was found in Africa. So they understand the history that everything evolved from that space. And it is very distressing, especially to those of us who are conscious, that there are Black peoples who say, I am not from Africa, I am not from African. America is the motherland. If that is what you believe, my friends, then I have to say, first, I always apply a trauma-informed approach and accept people where they are. And in that, I'm going to say, my friends, if you believe America is the motherland, please reach out to me, because there is something fundamentally askew. And I would even go further to say that society has done a wonderful job on you, conditioning you to believe that America, the corporation, the creation of, I'm going to say, impoverished whites from Europe. If you believe that this country is the motherland for you, I don't even know what to say other than please reach out to me or someone who you know is conscious, because you have been thoroughly, unadulteratedly conditioned by whiteness, colonialism, imperialism. Get mad at me all you want. If you don't want to talk to somebody, then do some research before you tell me America is the motherland. And if you want to know who the motherland is for real, Cairo is the motherland. And where is Cairo? You might say the Middle East, then you really have been damned by American society. No, Cairo is in Africa. So I had to go through that because you have no idea the kind of comments that I get, the kind of DMs that I get from people who are so filled with the internal residue of this society. No, are so filled with the internal residue of whiteness. That being said, you are not alone, my friends. So let me place us. In this work, the ancients taught that the soul is not one thing, but nine bodies of light. And we walk them through three gates. We are already inside the very first gate, the gate of Ka, the gate of return. Because before you can rise anywhere, you must come home to something, and that is not something that has been adulterated by society. Last week, we returned to the first body, the Khat, K H A T. And it is my hope that those seekers actually availed themselves of the free practice guide that is available or was available on the site. So we return to the first body, the Khat, the physical body, the temple. This week we go one layer deeper. We move from the body into the bloodline. And notice this, the whole first gate is named the Gate of Ka. It carries the name of the very body we are teaching tonight because the Ka is the heart of return. And if you go to the site, you can see that on a full moon, we actually have a heart dedication where we will meet together in the temple to call names and dedicate our heart to self and our history and our peoples. That's on powerprofit.com. That's not the reason why I'm here right now. But Ka is the heart of return. You cannot truly come home to yourself without coming home to the ones you came from. That is why it is very distressing that there are peoples who say America is the motherland. These children are lost. The return to the body is the doorway. The return to the bloodline is the heart of the house. So let us walk into it. But before I can give you the truth of the Ka, I must name the lie it heals. Because you have been carrying a lie so common, so constant, that you probably think it is just reality, the air you breathe. The lie is this, that you are one, that you are a single, separate, self-contained individual, one person alone, sourced by your own willpower, responsible for your whole life, all by yourself. Sounds like freedom, doesn't it? American rugged individualism, I speak here. This is the self-made individual, pulled them up by their bootstraps. The one who pulls herself up, who does not need anybody, who stands on his own 2 feet. This culture worships that image, my friends. It puts it on magazine covers. Hence the reason why this woman says America is the motherland. Self-made, independent, I don't need nobody else. Self-sufficient, and it hands you that image as if it were a crown. But I want you to feel what that crown actually costs, my friends. Because if you are truly one, truly alone, truly separate, then everything is on you. Every problem is yours to solve by yourself. Every fear you face by yourself. Every drop of strength has to come from your one small reserve. And when that reserve runs dry, there is nothing behind you. That is not freedom. Does that feel like freedom to you? Does that feel like anybody who has walked that walk and realized at the end of that walk that something was wrong? Speak up, let somebody know that that is not freedom. That is exhaustion dressed up as freedom. That is a person running a marathon on a single battery, my friends, wondering why she, he, them is so tired. Never told that she was built to be plunged into something vast. And here is where yesterday and today connect. Remember the erasure if you were here. But you don't need to be here to know that Kim peoples have had to endure erasure, particularly in America since its inception. But so remember psychically, spiritually, if you don't remember physically from your own observation and feeling, the erasure, the stolen names, the broken line, the wall in 1850, where the record stops. Do you see what that erasure was for? It was designed to produce exactly this feeling, to cut you off from a line so completely that you would experience yourself an orphan and call America the motherland. Alone, beginning from nothing, because an orphan is easy to rule. A person who believes she comes from nothing, he comes from nothing, believes she is nothing, and expects nothing, and can be given nothing, my friends. The isolation is not an accident of your life. For our people, it was manufactured. The loneliness was the product. So the lie of the isolated self hits us twice. Once, as the general myth of the self made individual, my friends, and once, as the specific engineered amnesia designed to orphan a whole people. And tonight, I seek to release you from both, I should say today, because the truth of the Ka is that you were never, for one single moment of your life, alone, right? The truth of the Ka is that you were never, for one single moment of your life, alone. So let me teach you the Ka. And this is my research, my training. This is my perspective of the Ka. And I situate that because I know I exist on a field of conscious people who know this work. And this is not the teaching. This is a teaching in a node of interconnected fields to get you this message. Maybe you can hear it from me. Say the word with me in your mind or out of your mouth. Ka. In the old wisdom of the Nile Valley, the Ka is the vital life force. The life force, the animating spark that makes a living thing alive. There's a wonder, no wonder why I was given the name of Kaila Ka Ma'at. But this is not your personal battery, right? The Ka is the double. It is the part of you that is transmitted through the bloodline, passed down from the ancestors to you, my friends, and from you to the ones who will come after, the babies, the youth who just don't know this stuff. This is passed down from the ancestors so that you can communicate it to your children, to the youth. And you are holding your length of it right now, my friends. So here, the truth, this releases. You are not one. You were never one. You are the living edge of a line that refuses to end. Every person who ever had to survive so that you could be born is standing behind you in that line, thousands of them stretching back further than any record goes, back past the ledger of that first slave ship, past that ship and past the ocean, all the way to the first mother. And every one of them is in your car. You did not begin. You are the continuation, my friends. Let me say this another way. I want you to reach the deep place. You are not the beginning of your story. I'm going to say it again. Because many of us Americans in the United States believe we are the beginning of our story. You are not. You are the chapter your ancestors were writing toward, have been writing toward. Everything they endured, every hunger they survived, every loss they carried, every prayer whispered in the dark was a sentence in a story that was reaching forward across the centuries to you. You are not a random individual who appeared out of nowhere. You are the answer to your ancestors' prayers. You are what they were building. There is a word for this from the African continent, and I want to give it to you because it is the exact opposite of the individualistic lie. The word is Ubuntu. And I'm sure there are many other African words, but this is the one I'm pulling to the fore. The word is Ubuntu, and it means I am because we are, not I am, therefore I do not need you, as so many of us proclaim today. But I am because we are. My existence is not separate from the ones who made it possible. My I is stitched out of enormous we. And that is not poetry, my friends. However, if you want me to, I could spit some. That is the structure of reality the whole modern world forgot. And that your ancestors never did. The loneliness, my friends, was never telling you the truth. It was telling you a lie. You are and always have been a we. And so as I have walked through life and people ask me what my pronouns are, and I say we and are, they're like, what? I refuse to be an I. I refuse to be a my, because every Kim person on this planet, and for those of you who don't know Kim, it means black. I'm using it instead of melanin, which the root word means black and dirty. Every one of us is a we. And we are. And when I told people my pronouns, particularly white people, they didn't say anything, but you could tell they just did not understand. And they did not want to speak it because their power is in separation. Their power over us is in isolation. Their power over us is having us believe that we are a soul entity here in this society who needs to be filled up with things that have no resonance with ourselves and the we in which we exist. So the ache of being on your own, of having to source everything from your one small self, set it down. Just set it down. There's never been a single room you walked into alone. The line came in with you. That is the release the isolation has been waiting for. Now let me say something. You might be thinking, oh, that is beautiful. That's wonderful. But is it real? Or is it just comforting? A story that I could tell myself, or something that I even tell ourselves, right? So let me take you into how the ka actually reaches you. And I'm going to rest myself in the pronouns of this English grammar and the way they suggest us to use them. Because this is where my work, Melanin Metaphysics, gives you something to stand on. And in these presentations, you only get a snippet of that work. I have told you that your melanin is not merely a pigment, my friends. Your Kim is not merely a pigment, that it is an instrument, a receiver, an antenna. Today, I want to name one of its deepest functions. Your Kim is the keeper of ancestral memory. Your DNA is the keeper of ancestral memory. They carry, and your Kim carries the vibrational record of the people you came from. Even if nobody told you about your people, their wisdom, their resilience, their knowing encoded in your very chemistry. Your body remembers what your mind was never told, and even what your mind refuses to accept. That signal your ancestors have been holding on the line for you across centuries, the one they tried and failed to cut. It is received in the body, in the Kim, in the Ka. You are not remembering with your brain, you are remembering with your blood, my friends. So, let me say something honest about the science, which they call pseudoscience when we want to talk about the power of Kim. And the way I always do with you, I will be honest. I teach this as ancestral science and as lived experience, 30 years of it, and a whole lineage of scholarship behind it. I am not making a medical claim to you today, for I am not a physician or a biomedical clinical researcher. But I will tell you this. The modern world is only now in its laboratories beginning to stumble on what your ancestors always knew. And every time I see this, I'm like, oh, they had to discover it, right? For it to be real. It's so interesting how this society works. They're discovering that memory and trauma can be passed through generations. And that experience of the grandmother can shape the biology of a grandchild. They're calling it new. It is not new. It is the Ka. Your ancestors did not need a study to tell them the line lives on in the body, the good and the bad. It's not just trauma, it is spectacular in its resonance. They knew, and every year the science inches closer, in particular quantum physics as well, to the wisdom that your ancestors carried across the water. Because I want to reflect for a minute on quantum entanglement, which is Ubuntu in science. We knew innately, but the science gives it more substance. So, when I tell you your ancestors are not silent, I am not speaking in metaphor, my friends. And for those of you who don't know what quantum entanglement is, I suggest you go do a little look into it. And if there's some conscious folks out there who've not really looked at it in regards to Ubuntu and consciousness, take a look at it because it is extremely enlightening. So I'm not speaking in metaphor. I'm telling you there is a transmission, a real signal running up your bloodline and into the body, the COT, KHAT. And that receiver was built into your level of chemistry. The erasure came for the archive in the museum, in the ledger, but they can never reach the antenna, although they have tried. Fluoride in the water, lead in homes, medication that attacks the melanin, and putting people in poverty, giving them environments that are pathogenic to their capacity to thrive. Believe me, our oppressors are very aware of the power of Kim, of melanin, and they have continually tried to destroy us. And somebody out here is saying, oh, but we need fluoride, and it's in the water. Fluoride causes brain damage in regards to Kim damage. Keep drinking fluoride in the water with your young ones, and you will see how their thinking and behavior will be distorted over time. Don't fool yourself. There's not one thing in this American society that is supportive of Kim people's capacity to thrive. Get rid of the fluoride toothpaste. Do research on your medications to see what they bind to. Do they bind to melanin? Do you really need that medication? I'm not saying throw it away, but if it's just something that you can deal with without falling further into physical disarray, then deal with it. Everything in this society is situated to destroy Kim people. Now I want to correct something. Look, I don't want to scare people. I just got to be transparent with you all, because I was living under the guise of, oh, I love America. I lived there until I experienced my long dark night of the soul and sat in the black light and came to resonance with Kim. Downloads began to pour into me. And as the downloads poured into me, I did the research. And like people who've been conscious long before I stepped onto the scene, I learned what they know. So I want to correct something, because most people, I don't know exactly what they know the way they know it. So I encourage whoever wants to come share some knowledge with me. I'm always open. I'm a seeker of knowledge. So I'll say again, now I want to correct something, because most people, even those who believe in the ancestors, imagine them wrong. They picture ancestors as passive, sweet, distant memories, a picture on the wall, people who lived and died and are simply gone. That is not the ancestral understanding at all. In the Kemetic wisdom and across the African diaspora, the ancestors are not passive. They are invested. Sit with that word, invested. They contribute to your life. They sacrifice for it. Many of them sacrificed for it. And I'm not just talking about civil rights. And the people who invested that much in something do not walk away from it. They stand near it. They watch over it. Not to judge you, my friends. Like everything else we're told that watches over us, but to guide you toward the fullest expression of the very thing they gave their lives to make possible. You. So the Ka is not a fact to believe. For those of you who want statistics, figures, and a diagram, It is a relationship to tend. And like every relationship, it is reciprocal. The ancestors reach toward you, but the connection is kept warm from your side too. The remembrance. And for those of you who keep an active altar, please write in the comments or chat altar, ALTAR. So the ancestors retoward you. So you have to have a connection on your side to remembrance. That is why every people that ever honored instead had practices of remembrance, offerings, altars. Again, if you have one, write it in the chat or comments. And the speaking of names, these are just three practices of remembrance, not superstition, as they want to tell you you are. Reciprocity. The living remember the dead, and the dead accompany the living, and the line stays warm in both directions. This is not scary. This is not blasphemy. This is not a sin. This is the reality of Kim peoples. When a people stops remembering, the line does not break, it goes quiet. And so much of our exhaustion is exactly this. We have been living with a line that has gone quiet, cut off from the strength that was always yours to draw on. And here is what this does to your daily life once you receive it. To honor the lineage is to live as if your ancestors can see you. I talked about this in 5 practices on Power Profit TV. You live as if your ancestors can see you because they can. If you don't believe that, then this presentation is not ready for you. And that is not a burden, my friends. That is the greatest dignity there is, because it means that every ordinary choice you make becomes a sacred question. Not what can I get away with, but is this the fullest, most force filled version of my life? Is this the life they endured centuries for? Again, this is not just here in America. This ancestral connection stretches all the way back to the African continent. Am I living in a way that honors what it costs to get me here? You are not living for yourself alone. You never were. They want you to believe you are. Because, as I mentioned before, a people with no history, a people who believe they have no one but themselves, is a people easily conquered, a person easily controlled. You are not living for yourself alone. You never were. You are living the answer to 10,000 prayers, and the ancestors are leaning in, watching their long work come to fruition in you. Now, this is not to say we get it so backwards in American society, the fullest force filled version. Many people default directly to money. You don't need money to live the fullest, most force filled version of yourself. And if you do believe you need money, then this society has taken up residence in your cot. So, what changes when you stop believing the lie of the isolated self and start living from the cot? Everything changes. I know from experience. Many of my clients know from experience. You stop being or feeling an orphan and become an heir. You stop running on your one small battery and get plugged back into the current of the whole line. When you walk into the hard room, the interview, the diagnosis, the confrontation with grief. You do not walk in alone, my friends. You walk in with everyone behind you, beside you, covering you, who has already survived worse and made it far enough to make you. Their strength is not gone, my friends. It is in your cup, available to you the moment you reach for it. Or I should say, the moment you remember to reach for it. This is the passage I have given my life to teaching, from being forced to becoming force. The forced live cut off, orphaned, sourcing everything from a self that keeps running dry, wondering why life feels so heavy to carry alone. The Force, and I'm not talking about Star Wars, although Star Wars had a unique resonance with what I'm talking about. The Force lived plugged in, sourced from all the whole lineage, accompanied in every room, drawing on a reserve, a resource that goes back hundreds of thousands of generations. And the doorway between those two lines is exactly this, my friends: remembering that you are not one. Now, today I've given you the truth as I know it and feel it of the Ka, and what it is, how it reaches you, and the fact that your ancestors are near and invested and reachable. As always, and as a professor from whence I came, 25 years teaching in higher education, I implore everyone hearing this message to do your own research. But knowing the line is live is one thing. Actually picking up the phone, metaphorically, is another. And that is what tomorrow is for, my friends. Tomorrow, at this time, I'm going to teach you the practice, the ancient practice, one of them by which we reach the Ka. And let the ancestors know we are listening. So get that Ka free practice guide on power-profit.com so you can be ready for tomorrow. All right? And so it is the calling of names. I don't know how many of you seen Erykah Badu do this. I'm going to try to find that clip on the internet where Miss Badu actually, before her concert, speaks the names. I felt it. It was so moving that I cried because she knew. She knew the power. She summoned the power. I'm going to seek to find that for tomorrow in teaching the calling of names. It is a direct answer to 400 years of erasure, my friend. Taking our dead out of a ledger and speaking them out loud back into the room. If today you learned that the line is alive, tomorrow you will learn a technique to call it down. Make sure you are here tomorrow. So let me leave you with the truth and then tell you how to keep walking with me. For those of you who need to leave, do so, because for anybody who is anti-advertisement, I need to have financial sustenance to keep this work going. So you are not alone. You are never alone. You are the living edge of a line that survived everything the world could throw at it: the ship, the ledger, the edited slave Bible. And for those of you who don't know, they gave slaves in America their own version of the Bible. Look it up. Also, the executive order that started this whole conversation from the White House, view or look at one of the clips that shows you that executive order that calls our desire to maintain our ancestry in sanity. So the loneliness you were handed was a lie, my friends. The isolation was manufactured, and the antidote was inside of you the entire time, written in your blood, chemistry in your kin, waiting for you to remember. You are not the beginning of your story. You are the chapter your ancestors have been writing toward, and they are so proud that you are here. Now, four simple things, my friend, in my quest to continue this work. First, follow me if you have not. Subscribe if you are on Power Profit TV. Turn on your notifications so nothing comes between you and my work. And so that you are here tomorrow when we learn to call names. Second, as I have situated here, is getting the I'm putting up the QR code. Let me put it in a way that makes sense. Hopefully, that is better seen. Get your Ancestral Life Force guide. It is free. I'm not even asking for your email. I try to make these things so easy for seekers. So seek and don't be scared. I do not bite. Ha! Everybody. I don't bite everybody, my friends. But you probably know I have a bite. QR code for your ancestors, for your car guide. Please get it when you go to the website. Just scroll down a bit. This is the community page on the website. Scroll down a bit. You'll see calendar. And in that little calendar box, you will see a link. Oh my gosh, I'm having deja vu, which is the universe telling me I am right where I'm supposed to be, right here and now. Thank you. So scroll down, you will see a link that says the practice guide. Click, no email, PDF, download it, do your homework, the things you need to do in there before tomorrow. If indeed you are going to journey with me in the calling of names. For those of you who are not aware, I do a 9 body point reading. Okay. And this is important for those seekers who want more information about themselves. Okay. So the 9 body reading is for if you want to know where your ancestral signal is strong and where it is blocked. This also goes with your Kim, right? We look to see where your metaphysical proportionality with your Kim is strong and where it is blocked across all 9 bodies of light. If you forgot what that is, please go back to power-profit.com and look at the path. So we want to know where your signal is strong and where it is blocked across all 9 bodies of light. If you want this, please book a 9 body point reading with me. These, I don't do a la carte, buy these things on my site. That's not how I operate. If you want more information, you want to discuss things with me, if you're managing some financial situation, you email me to request a reading and let me know your situation. Okay? The cost is there. If you want to just request a reading, just say, hey, Dr. Ma'at, I want a reading. And once we do identify the areas, the chamber of light that is blocked, there's another layer to pulling that back. You will see all that on the reading page on Power Profit, power-profit.com. And the fourth thing is, yes, you're like, damn, Dr. Ma'at, You got a lot of stuff. Like I said, I cannot do any of this if I do not have a well that is full. Okay? So the fourth, when you're ready to reach your ancestors, not alone, but in community, we gather weekly and call names together as one people. That is what the temple is for. The Aqua-centered community. Here's the QR code if you can see it. I hope you got it on the portraits and TikTok. And I know TikTok can't see it right here. But if TikTok wants to know what's happening, I suggest you visit power-profit.com. Go to the community page. I'm talking to TikTok and see exactly what is there for you. Again, I cannot do this work without making a living. And now it is due or move on time for me. The last thing I want to do is get a system job that will take me away from this work. As I said, everything is at power-profit.com, my friends. Look, I'm going to say this in closing and then I'm going to leave you alone because we are moving past the 60-minute mark. And so they tried to cut your line, they failed. It is alive, my friends. It runs through your blood and it has been holding on to you this whole time. Come back tomorrow, 2:30, and I will teach you how to answer it. This will only occur on Power Profit TV due to the things that I must do and the way in which the portrait will not capture the information. Until then, walk like someone is watching over you. And I'm not talking about Jesus or the white man's God. Walk like your ancestors are watching over you because they are. My friends, good day, ashe, and may you realize your fullest, most force-filled version of yourself now and every day of your life. Thank you. Bye-bye.